It begins quietly when your birthday stops feeling like yours. You do not mention the date. You do not wait for messages. You move through the day the same way you move through any other. No hints, no expectations, no desire to be seen. You tell yourself it is just a day, nothing more, nothing less. You pull back from attention before it arrives, choosing silence over celebration. This is the softness of people who learned to shrink their needs. But what if treating your birthday like nothing says everything? You ignore the messages that appear on your screen, letting them sit there unread because opening them would make the day feel more real than you want it to be. You turn off notifications long before anyone remembers the date, choosing silence over the small pressure of being acknowledged. When someone asks about plans, you shrug and say it is not a big deal, that you do not need anything, that you prefer things simple. You repeat these lines so often they have become part of your personality, even if they never reflected the whole truth. The morning arrives quietly, almost weightless, as if the world agreed to treat this day like any other. You wake up with the same soft stretch, the same slow breath, the same stillness that feels more familiar than joy. You make your tea, watching the steam curl into the air, and nothing inside you rises with it. No spark, no excitement, just the gentle routine that holds you together. The cup feels warm in your hands, grounding you in the kind of normalcy that never disappoints. Your footsteps are steady, almost muted, moving through the room with a calm that others might mistake for maturity. But it is not maturity. It is self-preservation. You keep your movements slow because fast, eager movements once led to expectations, and expectations once led to hurt. There is an odd relief in this quiet rhythm, a sense of control that celebration could never give you. Others see your behavior and create stories that feel easier to believe. They think you are humble, someone who does not need attention to feel valued. They call it simplicity, maturity, emotional independence. They admire your calm. But inside it feels different. You know the truth sits deeper, shaped by years of shrinking yourself to avoid disappointment. You know the quiet is not an aesthetic choice, it is a shield. They see a person who is unbothered. You feel a person who is careful. They see ease. You feel protection. They think you do not care about birthdays at all. You think you have simply learned to trust the safety of predictability more than the risk of celebration. You are not avoiding celebration, you are avoiding attention that once hurt. Psychologists call this emotional minimization, the quiet habit of shrinking your needs to feel safe. Some call it adaptive detachment, a response learned slowly, often long before adulthood. It forms in people who were taught directly or indirectly that wanting something was risky, that asking for attention could backfire, and that hoping for joy sometimes led to pain. So the mind adapts. It learns to expect nothing because expecting nothing cannot disappoint you. People who grew up with repeated disappointment learn not to look forward to anything, especially days meant to celebrate them. The nervous system remembers the silence after excitement, the letdown after anticipation. Those who felt invisible learn not to claim space, even on a day meant entirely for them. And those who feared unpredictability turn emotional neutrality into a kind of protection, not coldness, just safety. You begin to downplay your birthday the way some people downplay their emotions, quietly, almost methodically. You tell yourself it is easier to treat it like any other day than to risk the sharp sting of unmet expectations. The mind learns patterns, and this one becomes second nature. If no one knows it matters to you, then no one can fail you. It's like living in a room where the lights flickered too often. Eventually, you stop lighting candles altogether. You get used to the dimness because it feels predictable. You expect little because you were taught in ways large and small that little was safer. You trade anticipation for emotional steadiness, celebration for calm routines. You choose the comfort of knowing exactly how the day will feel rather than hoping for something uncertain. This is not a lack of joy. It is a form of emotional caution, a quiet contract your younger self made with your present self. Do not hope too loudly, and you will stay safe. You treat your birthday like any other day because once it hurt to hope. You learned early in life that joy was not something freely given. It was something you had to earn, or something that disappeared the moment you reached for it. Somewhere along the way, you stopped believing that special days were meant for you. You stopped feeling the excitement that other people seemed to carry so naturally. Celebrations that once felt magical slowly turned into moments where you felt unseen, unconsidered, or simply forgotten. And when happiness started to feel unreliable, you learned to live without expecting it. What looks like indifference today is often the residue of years spent managing disappointment. When affection was inconsistent, you adapted by becoming strong alone. When no one showed up for your small victories, you taught yourself to stop announcing them. When the people around you forgot your birthday or remembered it only out of obligation, you quietly taught your heart not to rise, not to hope, not to need.
Neglect became self-sufficiency. Silence became emotional armor. Neutrality became your safest response. Over time, treating your birthday like any ordinary day became less of a choice and more of a survival instinct. It was easier to feel nothing than to risk feeling overlooked again. But pause for a moment. Look at yourself with honesty and compassion. What if the way you treat your birthday now is not a sign that you do not care, but a sign that you once cared too deeply and were hurt more than you could express? Because the truth is simple. You did not stop celebrating life. You stopped expecting life to celebrate you. And now you must ask yourself quietly, without judgment, is this truly who you are, or just who you became to protect yourself? You are not emotionless. You are protective. You learn to guard the parts of yourself that were once ignored, mocked, or misunderstood. And you are not detached. You are simply gentle with your expectations, careful with your hopes, and quiet with your needs. Treating your birthday like a normal day is not a sign of emptiness. It is a sign of how deeply you have learned to protect your own heart. Your calm is intelligence. Your simplicity is wisdom. While others chase attention, you have learned to find peace in the ordinary. You understand that meaning does not always come from noise, parties, or grand gestures. Sometimes meaning comes from the quiet assurance that you are enough, even when the world forgets to say so. And hear this clearly, you do not need a day to prove your worth. Your value is not measured by who remembers a date on a calendar. Your existence is not validated by balloons, gifts, or a crowd of people